Contemplating a concise consideration concerning an occurrence caught sight of to conceive a classifying conclusion.
Observing closely and describing in the physical aspect is first making an observation about the object you wish to describe, in order to bring the object to life for your reader. When describing this object, use your 5 senses in order to give your reader a truly in-depth description. If you're describing what you're seeing, then use imagery to help the reader get a clear image of the object that you're describing. If you're describing what you heard, then give the reader an idea of the noise that you heard. When describing taste, describe exactly how it tastes when you ate it. When describing touch, make the reader know exactly what it is that you felt. When describing smell, give a thorough description of the aroma. It's all worth it. The blood I can feel from my blistered feet, the sweat that leaves a pungent odor, and the tears that pour down my face are all a result of the determination that causes my hands to shake and my blood pressure to rise. This example uses 3 of the 5 sensory descriptions, including smell, touch, and sight. The reader is left with a clear image of what the author is describing. It's all worth it. My aching feet, the sweat, the tears on my face are all a result of determination. This example is much less descriptive and fails to use imagery to paint the picture for the reader.
Using the mind in order to observe new ideas about a concept is a difficult task. Branching off of physically observing closely and describing, there is mentally being aware and digging deeper to make observations in order to find hidden truths about a concept and describe it. On a mental level, observing closely is uncovering something new about a concept that others would simply breeze over. It is not only being able to observe physically what is happening on the outside, but also observe mentally and recognizing new concepts and ideas. Rather than using the 5 senses, you are using your mind in order to relate concepts. Once the ideas and concepts become known, describing can then be done using analogies and metaphors. Describing consists of an in-depth look at the concept and intricately dissecting it for your reader. Describing is showing rather than telling. It is showing why your newfound concept relates to your main point, and it is an almost metaphorical way of looking at things. Strength is a tree standing tall in a whirlwind of thunder and rain. As gusts of wind continue to beat the tree down, its roots grow deeper and deeper and hold tight to the shaking ground. In doing so, it manages to make it through the storm as a burst of sunlight appears through the clouds. In this example, we see strength being compared in a metaphor. The reader is able to see that the idea of strength can be compared to the concept of a tree. The author mentally was forced to think hard in order to observe the underlying idea of strength's similarity to a tree fighting to stay upright in a storm. The author then takes the metaphor deeper and intricately describes the tree and storm, showing how it compares to strength. Rather than just saying that strength is like a tree, the author shows how this conclusion can be drawn, allowing the reader to fully understand the concept. Strength is what you use to lift weights and become a more physically fit person. It is bulging muscles and bursting veins. Strength is what one uses to become powerful and strong. In this example, we see strength as something physical. The author made a good point in comparing strength to bulging muscles and bursting veins, but didn't look into the idea of strength deep enough in order to uncover a new concept that the reader may not realize.
Observing closely and describing has more to it than just the physical aspect. There is also the level of emotional observation and description. There are times when you just can't look at an object and describe what you see. Sometimes you have to connect in an emotional way. Don't just look at what is on the outside, but rather take a deeper look and find what is going on the inside. There are many ways to closely observe and describe emotions and feelings. For example, you can observe how someone else is feeling, or you can observe how you personally are feeling. To observe someone else's feelings, you must pay attention to their actions. By doing this, you can infer the reasoning for their actions, which leads to the way that they are emotionally feeling. You can also observe your own feelings by recognizing the way that you feel. And notice what it is you do when you feel this way, and then describe this feeling. Often pain can be mistaken for happiness. This is because they carry something in common, a smile. That smile can take you away from the pain as you try to pretend like everything is okay. I have noticed this is how many adults choose to handle pain. They feel as if they must be strong for everyone else by holding themselves together at all times, when in reality it is okay to cry and show your feelings. When I feel pain, I have a tendency to hold it inside and keep it to myself. I put on a strong front where people see me as the one who has it all together, when really I am falling apart at the seams. This is a good example of observing closely and describing on an emotional level because it explains the actions that are observed and then it connects to the emotions that are being felt. Once in the house, we're usually greeted by a fluffy fur ball with eyes, Kitty, my grandma's cat. If you're new to the house, you can't help but notice the thick smell of firewood, burning candles, and drying potpourri. This example may be describing something, but it did not observe on an emotional level. This doesn't necessarily mean that it is a bad example of observing closely and describing, but it is not a good example if you are looking for an emotional observation.
Emotional, mental, and physical. Expressing empathy or individual endearment, extending from elated to ill, expressed to a greater extent internally instead of externally, masterfully mobilizing the mind to make known multifarious notions, manifest new notions formerly unmeddled, and manage meticulous meanings methodically with metaphor and metonymy. Pinpoint and postulate the proper purpose of particularizing and portraying one's perception, and pay attention to a pentacle of senses, sight, hearing, taste, touch, and smell, to paint a picture psychologically. Combining a collection of clarifications and comprehensions of a catchword with concentrated commitment to composing or confirming a clear, coherent, and commonsensical characterization, a course of action culminating consummately into an observation and description.